40,000 subscribers and every single rod and reel combo in my arsenal. Let's get it. Really quickly, if you guys think you know what setup I'm saving to the end, if you know already which rod I'm gonna show you last, if you know my favorite, go down in the comments right now and drop it. Hello and welcome. What's up, everybody? Thank you for clicking on the video and thank you for 40,000 subscribers here on YouTube. That's right, man. We just cracked the 40K mark here on the channel and I appreciate you all for riding with me. First things first, let's go ahead and color in another bar on the infamous subscriber board. You guys haven't seen this in a while, but this right here is the last line in the 30s that we have to color in. We made it all the way to 40K. Our markers about had it. That's okay because now it's time to switch it up from the green to the yellow. Things are getting a little bit hotter around here, but we want to get all the way up there to that 100K. I can't do it without you, so if you want to see me color in a bar above that 40,000 mark, get all the way up there to that 100. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Once again, thank you to all 40,000 of these incredible people who have helped us get to this point. I appreciate you all for riding with me like you do. I can never thank you all enough. But let's keep it pushing and fill this sucker all the way up to the top. But now the reason that we're all really here, I know you all want to see the setups, the combos, the rod and reel fishing arsenal. I know you guys are ready to see these. I apologize for the delay. I've been trying to get this video out for a minute, but the time has come. We're about to get into that right now. Really quick, I want to give a massive thank you and shout out to 6 Sense Fishing. I absolutely could not do what I do without them. I throw 6 Sense Fishing rods exclusively, so all these rods that you're about to see are 6 Sense rods. And just a heads up, I'm a Shimano guy, so the reels that you're about to see, all Shimanos. Beyond that, I feel like a lot of this stuff we're gonna talk about is gonna apply across the board. You could transfer this information across brands. It's not really gonna matter. I've got these lined up from lightest to heaviest. So we're going from like spinning gear all the way up to my big bait stuff. You guys will kind of see as we go through this how I got them organized. We're just gonna go light to heavy, slight variations in between. There are a couple reels that I've just recently added to the arsenal that I've been using that I will show you guys here. Some reels that you haven't seen here on the channel before. A lot of this stuff is subject to change. I reconfigure these setups often depending on what I need to do. But right now, as it sits, this is how I have everything mounted up. This is everything that I'm currently using to attack the lake and target fish. And I'm gonna show you everything right now. There's a lot. It's not really a lot. It's a lot to me. When I started, I had nothing. So this looks like a massive amount of setups, but compared to what some guys out there have, this isn't really nothing. I've got some older stuff over in the corner that I'm not gonna show you guys. Maybe we'll take a trip down memory lane and look at all the stuff that I no longer use. But today we're looking at everything that is currently in rotation, actually getting used out there on the water. Mostly everything is mounted up with a reel. There are a couple rods here that don't have reels on them, but I will still tell you guys what I use them for when I do use them. And like I said, this is always subject to change. These things get reconfigured a lot, but this is how it's going down right now. I know you guys have been waiting for this video. Once again, thank you for 40,000. Let me start showing you these rods and reels, man. We're gonna start over here on the spinning side. First spinning setup we're gonna talk about. This is a newer one, 7.4 medium light spinning rod. Team 6 series, got that paired up with a Shimano Sedona 2500. It's got a wacky rig on it right now. You guys know me, I don't do a lot of finesse fishing. I'm trying to get better at it and open up to it a little bit more, which is why I added a second spinning setup to the lineup. I previously only had one, but now we got two. This is the second one. Didn't want to break the bank, so I went with the Sedona. And yeah, just a good budget Shimano spinning reel. Wifey's gonna be using this a lot, so got her set up with the wacky rig, a couple of wacky rings, the 6 Sense wacky hook. Good to go, man. That's the first rod right there. The Team 6 7.4 medium light Shimano Sedona 2500, 10-pound braid to 8-pound fluorocarbon leader, wacky rig. That's a Nirvana Clout 5.4 on there. Next up, this is the original spinning setup. This is a 6 foot 10-inch medium moderate rod. Got it paired up with the Shimano Sahara C3000 spinning reel. Again, 10-pound braid, 8-pound fluorocarbon leader. Wifey was fishing a weightless flush 5.2 last time we were out there, so that's what's on that right now. This one's a little bit shorter. Again, I wouldn't hesitate to use this rod for shaky heads, wacky rig, Ned rig, that type of stuff. The finesse stuff, that's why I have these, for when I really need to go light. But for those occasions when I really need to go light and I just don't want to use a spinning setup. I got this bad boy right here, currently not rigged up with anything. I'll go ahead and reel that in. But this is the Corrado BFS, the Shimano Corrado BFS bait finesse system. If you guys don't know, this is a bait casting reel that was designed for throwing finesse baits. So you can go super light with this, all the way down to like 1/8 of an ounce. You can throw a Ned rig on this. You can throw tiny little 1/8 ounce, 1/4 ounce baits on this. It rules. It's got a clicker drag system. You hear the drag clicking like a spinning setup. It's got a super light spool that takes very little inertia to get it rolling, so it just sails little bitty tiny baits that you wouldn't normally be able to throw on a bait caster. I've got that paired up with the 6 Sense 7.2 medium light inshore saltwater rod. This is a rod that a lot of people sleep on that can be transferred over to freshwater, and that's what I've done here. Paired it up on my BFS setup. Honestly, it's a little heavy for the BFS. I need like a 0 power. I need like a 0 power to really start getting the full potential out of this BFS setup. But the Sensory Series 7.2 medium light saltwater rod from 6 Sense has been getting the job done on this thing so far. I like it. For this, throwing a little bitty tiny like 2.8 Kitech little finesse swim bait on like an 1/8 ounce ball head. This setup is just money for that. Also, little 1/4 ounce rattle trap or 1/4 ounce whopper plopper, the little finesse whopper plopper. I can't remember what the size is, like the whopper plopper 60 or the little one, the little bitty dude that they just came out with. Killer setup for that. And that pretty much rounds out the finesse stuff. We're gonna get into Baitcasters now. Oh, really quickly, I do wanna let you guys know that links to everything that I'm showing you in this video, the reels, the rods, everything down below in the video description. So go check that out, and you can go take a closer look at all this stuff for yourself. Maybe take a look at some of the technical information that I'm not giving you in this video. I'm just trying to get through this and show you all this stuff. But everything is linked down below in the video description. This is Prototype Heater Series rod, 6.9 medium, moderate fast. Got this paired up with a Corrado DC, 50-pound braid. This is my top water walking bait rod, my dogma rod, my catwalk rod. Anything that's a smaller profile in that 100 to 120 millimeter range, walking bait, this is the setup right here, pitching and twitching. I can throw this thing all day and walk this dogma and never get tired. Corrado DC with the braid on there, such smooth, I could fire this thing out a mile. Really light, extremely light heater series. This rod is coming soon, first quarter 2022, tentatively. That's what I'm hearing right now. Stay ready, the heater series, it's coming. I've seen the final version. It's gonna blow your minds. I cannot wait to show it to you. This ain't got nothing on what you guys are gonna be able to get your hands on really, really soon. This is the first heater series in my lineup. 6.9, medium power, moderate fast action. Such a good rod for the smaller profile, top water walking baits. Got it paired up with straight braid. I fish my top waters with straight braid. Like I said, I can go all day long with this thing. No fatigue, absolutely love it. Shorter, medium, moderate action rods. I love them. That 6.9, 6.10 range with the medium power. You're gonna see more of that in my arsenal. Stay tuned. Let's keep it rolling. Next up, this is one of my newer setups, something that I haven't used too much, but I have used it and I love it. This is the 6.9 medium, moderate fast Team 6 rod. If you guys don't know about the Team 6 rods, extremely good value for the price. 30-ton Japanese blank. You got the carbon fiber wrap on the grip. Awesome 6 Sense aesthetics. Just like all their rods all look awesome. Man, I've really been loving this one for throwing the jerk bait. I've got this paired up with the Corrado 70 MGL. That's that lighter bait caster that you normally see me throwing the flush on. Really good for sailing out the lighter jerk baits. That little 70 MGL, I love that reel. I actually just ordered 2 more of them to integrate into the lineup. I love the low profile of the 70. This reel, the 70 MGL, is great for all types of stuff. It's really good for throwing the light baits, weightless fluke, weightless flush, jerk bait, small square bills. I love this reel. Like I said, I just got a couple more of them to add to the lineup. Right now, got it paired up with that 6.9 medium with the jerk bait. This is my jerk bait setup. 12-pound fluorocarbon. Herking and jerking, baby. Corrado 70 MGL on the 6.9 Team 6. Speaking of 6.9 medium moderate, here's another one. This is my flush setup or my fluke setup. This right here, that last one, we might swap that out. We might change some of these other rods that you're gonna see. I might take a reel off of here, put it over here, depending on what I need to get done. If I have a setup that needs a little bit heavier fluorocarbon and I need to rob a reel, put it, no, this one, this one don't move. This one stays just like this. This is another 70 MGL Corrado on my 6'9" medium moderate fast Lux series rod. This is my weightless soft plastic jerkbait setup right here. This one don't change. Got it laced up with a 4/0 EWG weightless 15-pound fluorocarbon. Some people wonder why I fish heavier fluorocarbon with a weightless flush or fluke, and it's because fluorocarbon sinks. And a lot of times the way I fish the flush or a weightless jerkbait, I'm doing a lot of pitching and twitching, and as soon as I feel pressure, I crack a hook set, and a lot of times it's in the middle of a twitch and I get a slack line going on. I don't intentionally slack line fish, but when I'm fishing this technique, a lot of times I end up with a little bit of slack line hook set going on. And one of the reasons I up to the 15 is just to give me a little bit more strength, a little bit more durability, and the fluorocarbon sinks. I like to get that heavier line, get it down there below the surface just a little bit faster. That's why I run 15-pound fluorocarbon on my weightless soft plastic jerkbaits. Just a little bit of insight into why I do that. People have asked before. That's that new Ghost Bone Pearl, I believe is the color. My new favorite from 6th Sense, man. That right there, straight heater of a color. And then, like I said a minute ago, that 70 MGL, perfect for throwing the lighter baits. And this is one that just doesn't change. My soft plastic jerkbait setup, 6'9", medium, moderate, fast, Lux series rod with a Corrado 70. Fire. Next up, no different. It's another 6' 10" medium, moderate, fast rod. And this is one that I've been playing around with for the old Crush 50 square bill. Got that one paired up with the SLX DC70, you can see there. 12-pound fluorocarbon, Crush 50. This is another one of those shorter, lighter rods that I love to use for all those techniques I just mentioned. And now you can throw square billing into the mix. A small profile square bill like the Curve Finesse or the Crush 50 from 6th Sense both do really well on this rod. The 6'10" medium. Got that paired up with that 70 DC, dude. 12-pound fluoro, straight ripping. Love that color on the Crush 50. Haven't used this too much. My Crush 50 setup was totally different last year. This is the new setup for this year. I'll let you guys know how it works out, subject to change, but that's what's going on right now. 6'10" medium moderate with the SLX DC70. With the Crush 50, let's keep it rolling. Here, this is another new one that really surprised me when I started using it. This is the Team 6 7.3 medium. 7.3 medium, I think it's a fast. Yeah, 7.3 medium power, fast action, Team 6. Got it paired up with the Corrado DC, and then I got it laced up with the little new Mini Max from Z-Man. Smaller profile bladed jig with the small Finesse blade on there. I went out and started throwing this thing around on this medium power, 7.3 medium power. Dude, I love it. This is my new smaller profile chatterbait bladed jig setup. Freaking love this thing. If you're looking for a good finesse moving bait, like a 1/4 ounce, like something you want to throw like a 1/4 ounce swim jig on, or the Mini Max, maybe a small profile swim bait, dude, this rod right here, freaking love it. Can't go wrong with a Shimano Corrado DC. You guys are gonna see a lot of DCs. You're gonna see a lot of Corrado DCs, a lot of SLX DCs, and a lot of Corrado and SLX variations in my arsenal. This is just what I like to use, man. That's what I like to use. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. You guys know the deal. And that's just the way it is, man. I know you guys like to die with stuff. I got nothing against any of those other brands. I just, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. That's my mentality. Love me some Shimano. Next up, this is another medium power rod right here, but this one's got some length to it. This is another rod that surprised me. This is a 7' 9" medium power ESP series. Let me tell you, this rod right here is a sleeper deep cranking rod. If you're looking for a deep cranking rod, something to throw like the Cloud 9s or the 250 MD, medium divers, this is it, dude. I was skeptical on how well this rod was gonna handle things like the Cloud 9 series, C10, C15s, or even up to the C20 really, but let me tell you, man, for a lighter rod, this thing works as a deep cranking setup, and I've been loving it for everything up to like the C15. Really, you need something with a little bit more backbone for those super deep divers in the C25, but really this rod is perfect for baits like that Jane Juice C10 right there. Got it laced up with an SLX DC, 6.3:1 gear ratio, 12-pound fluorocarbon line. And that right there is a killer medium to deep diving crankbait setup. That's what I've been using that for. 7.9 medium Loving it for the deep cranks, man. It's killing it. Let's keep it rolling. Next up, you guys have seen me fish with this setup a lot, but I just got it paired up with one of those Corrado 70 MGLs that I mentioned earlier. Currently transitioning this rod over to this reel. This is my Finesse square bill setup. You guys saw the Crush 50 setup that I showed you a moment ago on the ESP. But for those of you guys who have seen the videos where I throw the Curve Finesse square bill, this right here has been my rod for doing that. The 7-foot 2-inch medium Sensory series. Sensory series, tough to beat from 6 Sense, man. It is one of their higher end rods, but man, tough to beat. I really love the Sensory series. It got the full foam grip. And man, they are nice. They are light. I've been fishing them for a long time. And for throwing a little square bill, this 7.2 medium has worked out great. Had it paired up with the 6.3 SLX DC. Now I have the 70 on there. Magnum light spool. You don't need a lot of line when you're throwing the square bills, so 70 should be plenty. I'm doing a lot of shorter casts, targeted casts when I'm fishing those small square bills. So I think the 70 is gonna pair up well with this. I'm gonna lace it up with 12 pound and then get that Curve Finesse tied onto there. And that's gonna be the new Curve Finesse setup right there. 7.2 medium Sensory series with the Corrado 70 MGL. Next up is one that I don't currently have mounted up with a reel. This is another Lux series rod. Shout outs to the Lux series. I feel like the Lux series from 6 Sense is such a killer lineup. The price point, tough to beat, 150 bucks. Really light, really sensitive, really durable. I love the Lux series, but I'm gonna be honest with you. This is a rod that I've had a tough time finding a home for. This is the 611 medium heavy moderate fast. I feel like it would be a good like Magnum square bill rod. It's kind of where I'm going in my head, but for those of you out there that might own this rod, or if any of my Team 6 homies that use this rod, the 611 medium heavy moderate fast, have a technique that they like to use this for, reach out, let me know, because I'm, like I said, man, I've just been having a tough time finding a home for this one, but I love my Lux rod, so I can't get rid of it. I do want to get it mounted up and get it into the rotation. I've just had a hard time finding what it really works best for. So you guys let me know on this one. Not getting rid of it, it will stay. Next up, this is a rod that I also have a couple different, at least two of this type of rod. This is a 7.2 medium heavy moderate fast. And I've got this one currently laced up with an SLX DC and a little Kitech Finesse jig. I actually just needed to get a jig tied on quickly and randomly picked up a setup. And then I ended up fishing with this a couple times with this little Finesse jig and ended up liking it. Generally, typically, not the setup that I would pick up for fishing a little Finesse jig, but it worked out. That tungsten head on there, bottom contact. Once again, that's like 17 pound fluorocarbon line, Kitech tungsten jig, 7.2 medium heavy moderate fast. With that being said, this is an excellent all-around workhorse rod. You can do pretty much anything on this. You can Texas rig with this rod. You can throw a swim jig on this rod. You can throw a chatterbait on this rod. Square bills, chatterbaits, moving baits, 7.2 medium heavy moderate fast. It's an excellent do-it-all workhorse rod. They have a couple different models in this configuration, this variation. And if you're looking for one to just get it done front to back all around, I think the 7.2 medium heavy mod fast is a killer way to get it done, man. You can do a lot with this rod, and I have a couple of these, and I do pretty much whatever I want to do with these rods. Everything from the square bills to the Finesse jigs. This one right here is another one, 7.2 medium heavy moderate fast. This is the MFer series though. That last one, that was the Lux. This is the MFer. You got the split grip handle. It's kind of got a shorter butt on it. I really like this for throwing a chatterbait, man. I got it paired up with another Shimano Corrado 150 MGL. I'm loving the new 150 size reels. Barely had time to, yeah, come in. I love you too. Drive safe.
I will. Come on, boys.
Wifey's got to go to the office.
Come on, Cooper.
Cooper, go. 7.2 medium heavy moderate fast MFer series. Love the color on the MFer series. Split foam grip handle, shorter butt so you can make some nice targeted casts. I like just whipping quick casts with this thing. This is my chatterbait setup, guys. I like throwing the bigger full-size chatterbaits on this right here. Corrado 150 MGL. Really been loving this reel, working it into my lineup. The 150 size I feel is perfect, and with the Magnum light spool, it's even smoother, better casting. Man, it's just an excellent reel, man. That Corrado 150 MGL, really impressive. Really my preferred bait for this is a chatterbait. Anything 3/8 of an ounce and above, we're rocking with this bad boy right here, the MFer series 7.2 medium heavy, moderate fast. Next up, another medium heavy. Try not to knock all these over, man, like dominoes. Keep it together, Grouch. All right, now we're gonna start getting our way over into the Dang, don't do it to me, Bobby. This right here is my current spinnerbait setup. 7 foot, 2 inch, medium heavy, moderate fast ESP series. Got that paired up with the Shimano Scorpion DC. A lot of people ask me about this reel. Personally, I like the Corrado DC and the SLX DC better. IDC 5, IDC 4, technical terminology, internal, why this is better, I don't care. I've used all three. I like the others better. To me, I would never buy another Scorpion. This is the older Scorpion. I don't own the newer one that they just came out with, but this is the older JDM Scorpion DC. Personally, I like my Corrados better. Personal opinion thing. People ask me about the Scorpion all the time and they want my opinion on whether or not they should spend the extra money. And I always just tell them, dude, just get a Corrado DC or even an SLX DC. So that's my opinion on the Scorpion. Got that out of the way. No offense to anybody that runs them. It's just not my preferred reel. I like my Corrados a little bit better. Got that paired up with a War Eagle spinnerbait, 6 cents spinnerbait trailer hook on there. No trailer, gold and silver willow leaf blades. 17-pound fluorocarbon line. And that's my spinnerbait setup for now. Next up, this is another Lux series rod. Have this one paired up with a Shimano Corrado 200. The 200K, you're gonna see several of these in my lineup. Workhorse reel. I believe this is like one of Shimano's best all-around reels. If you're just looking for one that'll do everything, the 200K. Plenty of line capacity, plenty of durability, all around, can't beat it. This rod right here, this is the Movement Square Bill rod. This is 7 foot 4 inch, medium heavy fast, Lux series, the Movement Square Bill rod, and that's what I use this for. I throw the Movement Square Bill, I throw the flat 75X, I throw a Magnum square bill. This is my larger profile or movement square bill crankbait setup right here, man. The Movement Square Bill rod. That's what they made it for. That's what I use it for. And man, that thing freaking works for those techniques. Next up, we got another sensory series. This is 7.3 heavy. Now we're gonna start getting into this bottom contact jig type stuff. 7.3 heavy fast. Got it paired up with an SLX DC. This is like heavy Texas rig, heavy jig, Carolina rig, bottom contact, 7.3 heavy. Also really good for throwing a heavier swim jig. Anything 1/2 ounce and above on the Devon swim jig or the braid swim jig. Dude, this rod right here, such a killer swim jig rod. That's the sensory series from 6 Sense Fishing. 7.3 heavy, fast, paired up with the Shimano SLX DC. All my reels, by the way, if it's a cranking setup, it's a 6-to-1. If it's not, it's a 7-to-1. So that gets the gear ratios out of the way. If I'm got a crankbait on it or a big swim bait on it, it's probably a 6-to-1. Everything else practically 7-to-1s. I do have a couple 8-to-1s for like pitching, flipping, bottom contact, taking up slack really fast, frogging. There are a couple, maybe 3 8-to-1s in here. Everything else is a 6 or a 7. This is a 7, 7.2-to-1 SLX DC on the 7.3 heavy sensory series. Killer swim jig, bottom contact, heavy bottom contact rod right there. Next up, continuing down the bottom contact road, sensitivity. Tough to beat the Unicorn series. This is their highest end rod currently. Some stuff in the works that's gonna blow this away. But out of everything that I've got from 6 Sense, this right here, the highest tier, $300 rod, 7 foot 4 inch heavy. Got that paired up with a little TR worm, 17-pound fluorocarbon. Shimano Corrado DC, 8.5-to-1. This is one of those setups I was talking about that I use to fish down there a little bit deeper, take up a lot of that slack really fast when you have to crack a deep hook set. The 8.5 can really help with that. Got it paired up with a Devon shaky worm, Texas rig, bottom contact, 1/2 ounce tungsten bullet weight. And that's just one of my good old TR setups, man. I use the Unicorns for bottom contact with the tungsten. When I need that extra sensitivity, I want to feel everything. That's when that Unicorn comes into play. And that's why you see my bottom contact baits tied onto these higher end rods. Speaking of bottom contact, this one right here, one of my favorites right now. This is another of that same rod that I just showed you a minute ago. Sensory series, 7.3 heavy. I told you guys I love the sensory series. I have 2 of this rod. I was talking about swim jigs and whatnot, but for this setup, I have a prawn. Old Pranica Lewinsky, prawn John Silver. 1/2 ounce bullet weight, 4-aught EWG hook. Prawn 4.2 from 6 Sense Fishing. Shimano SLX DC, 7.2-to-1 gear ratio, sensory series, 7.3 heavy, fast. Tough to beat that bad boy right there, man. I like that full foam grip. Awesome. All right, I know I'm moving fast. I hope you guys are keeping up. I'm trying to get through this. We still got a long way to go too. Next up, 7 foot 5 inch heavy, fast Lux series. This is like my heavy punching setup. We've got to get through some heavy cover, jigs, stuff like that. 8.5 to 1 Shimano Corrado DC reel, heavy fluorocarbon or heavy braid. That's just one of the beefier setups for when we need to get through the thick stuff. Speaking of getting through the thick stuff, this is another one of those setups that I recently unboxed here on the channel that you guys over on Instagram helped me figure out a technique for. This is the 7-foot 2-inch heavy Mod Fast Team 6 rod. I got that paired up with a big heavy Divine hybrid jig. Got that paired up with another one of those 150 MGL Corrados. Love that reel. And as soon as I got out there and started casting around with this, I instantly fell in love with this setup. So this is probably gonna stay configured as it is for a while. 17-pound fluorocarbon line, hybrid jig, 7.2, heavy, mod fast. A lot of you guys said that's a great jigging rod, and I agreed, so that's what I tied onto there for now. But we'll keep experimenting with it. Try to keep it moving here, guys. I know I'm moving quick, showing you a lot of stuff, throwing a lot of information at you. I hope you're keeping up. Here's a couple more that I don't have reels for right now. This is a 7.3 medium heavy unicorn. Same thing as that last Texas rig rod that I just showed you. Bottom contact, just a little bit lighter. I'm gonna go maybe a little bit lighter line, a little bit lighter weight, and I'm gonna use this rod for throwing a Texas rig, dragging it on the bottom, or anything that I need good sensitivity for. That's what I would use this unicorn 7.3 medium heavy for. And I also have a 7.3 heavy right here. This is my Carolina rig rod. Normally, not throwing a Carolina rig all too much. Not my favorite technique, if I'm being honest with you guys. But the ESP series 7.3 heavy mod fast is a great Carolina rig rod. I have used it for that in the past. These are just two that I don't have reels for right now, but I can't bring myself to let go. Next up, we talked about the 7-foot 5-inch heavy fast Lux series that I use for heavier jigs. This right here is a similar rod, but it's a heater series. It's a 7-foot 5-inch heavy fast heater series prototype, and this is my frogging / heavy topwater rod. Let me tell you what I mean by that. I mean my frogging rod and my heavy topwater rod, such as like the Whopper Plopper 110 or 130, heavier prop style baits, throwing them on straight braid, just like the frog. So this is my heavy topwater and my frogging setup. 7-foot 5-inch heavy fast heater series rod, Vega Frog, 50-pound braid, Shimano Corrado 200, and that's the way right there. I cannot wait for you guys to get your hands on the final heater series. This is one that I would definitely recommend, especially for those of you that like throwing the frog. You don't need an extra heavy broomstick rod to go frogging. And a lot of times, downsizing the rod and going to something that's not so stiff can help you with those hook sets if you're missing frog fish. But when it comes to the prop style baits, absolutely love this 7.5 heavy fast for throwing those and the frog. Can't beat it. That is my heavy topwater setup right there. This is another one that doesn't change. I just cut that frog off and tie a plopper onto that bad boy real quick like. Next up, all right, I'm skipping just one that I'm gonna wait until the end to show you. Just one of my lighter setups. It's actually my favorite, my number one, my favorite out of all of them. I'm gonna show you that one at the end. So make sure you watch all the way to the end. And also I wanna mention really quickly right here that if you're interested in picking up any of these rods or these baits that I'm showing you from 6th Sense, check out 6thsensefishing.com and use my code JR10 at checkout. That's gonna give you 10% off every rod that you order, every bait that you order, your entire cart. It's also the number one way that you can show support for us here on the channel. If you like what we do, if you enjoy the videos, and you wanna save yourself a little bit of money on some of the best fishing tackle in the game, check out 6thsensefishing.com, use JR10 at checkout. Secure the heater, save the bread, you know the deal. Shout outs to all my JR10 code users. You guys continue to blow me away with the screenshots. If you guys are placing those JR10 orders, make sure you take a little screenshot of that order confirmation and DM it to me at the Justin Royal on Instagram. I'll post it up, tag you up, give you a shout out. It's just a way for me to give you some public recognition and say thank you for helping us keep the lights on and the cameras rolling so that we can continue to bring you free fishing content here on YouTube, which is what we plan to do hot and heavy in 2022. So make sure you're subscribed. Check out 6thsensefishing.com, JR10 for the win. Much love, everybody. Thank you for the support. But next up, this right here, 7.5 extra heavy fast. This is like a heavy frogging setup. If I needed something a little bit beefier, if I needed a broomstick, this is what I go to. The Lux Series 7-foot 5-inch extra heavy fast. For those of you that like heavy frogging, you traditional frog fishermen that believe in the broomsticks, this is the one for you. I got that paired up with a Shimano Corrado 200, another workhorse reel that I mentioned, that I have a lot of, 6.2 to 1 gear ratio on this one, and I currently have it spooled up with like 20-pound Berkeley big game monofilament because I've been experimenting throwing some bigger baits with this. This is like a big, heavy, flipping, punching stick, frogging stick that actually does well for some of the heavier swim baits, which is what we're gonna get into and start looking at right now. But this setup right here, that's my broomstick. 20-pound mono or straight 65-pound braid and a Corrado 200. That's the one right there. Really quickly, if you guys think you know what setup I'm saving to the end, if you know already which rod I'm gonna show you last, if you know my favorite, go down in the comments right now and drop it. Next up, this is another new one. Another one of my new rods that I haven't even had a chance to try out yet. I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I haven't had a chance to fish this yet. Been a lot going on, doing a lot of traveling, and the trace is a bait that kind of got away from me here recently, but this is my new trace setup. This is the Sensory Series 7-foot, 7-inch heavy fast. You guys saw me unbox this rod recently here on the channel. Got it paired up with another Corrado DC 7-to-1 gear ratio on that one. I like fishing the trace on a 7-to-1. You guys ask me all the time how to fish it. This is how you fish it. Experiment, play with it, do all kinds of different stuff. Play with the bait, you will see it do all kinds of stuff that you wouldn't have thought of if you just experiment and play around with different twitches and retrieves. This bait flutters, darts, jolts, swims, and burns incredibly, and there's so much that you can do with it. My best advice when it comes to the retrieve on this, play with it. You'll see some stuff. Once again, that's on a Corrado DC, 20-pound fluorocarbon line on the swim bait setup, 7-to-1 gear ratio. Love that Sensory Series rod, and I wanted to add this one to the lineup for my bigger 2-ounce range swim baits, like the Trace. Stoked on this one, man. Can't wait to catch one on this. And one that I've come extremely close to catching some monster fish on really recently is another one of my new ones. This is the 7.7 heavy mod fast Team 6 rod, Team 6 series. Got that laced up with the line through, paired up with another Corrado DC. This is 7-to-1. Might should have a 6-to-1 on this bait. I don't know. I'm reeling it super slow anyway, but that's the setup right now on the 7-foot, 7-inch heavy moderate fast Team 6 rod. So you see, we just looked at the 7.7 fast Sensory. This is 7.7 mod fast. So just a little bit of variation there. I can get a little bit more of a parabolic bend out of one over the other in case I'm throwing treble hook baits, or if I'm switching over to something with a jig hook, I can go with maybe the Sensory with the fast action to maybe drive that hook home a little bit harder. I don't know, but that's where my mind is at on those two setups right now for my baits that are in that 2-ounce range. Those are my two setups right there. The Sensory 7.7. We are rounding out this list now, guys. I got 3 more rods to show you. This one right here, one of my favorite setups that I own. I mean, this is right on up there with the last one that I'm gonna show you. This is the Lux Series 711 medium heavy moderate, the Cloud 9 cranker. My Lord, I love this rod. Got it paired up with the SLX DC 6.3-to-1 gear ratio, 17-pound fluorocarbon line, that right there. The Chad Shad KGB swim baits Chad Shad. This is my Chad Shad setup currently, man. A little bit shorter length, extremely parabolic, moderate action, loads up deep into the blank. Really good for fishing those crankbaits like I talked about earlier on the 7.9 medium. Since I started using that for the cranks, switched over to this on my Chad. I'll still throw cranks on this. Still throw the Cloud 9 series crankbaits on this. Probably just switch up to a different reel with lighter line. But for the Chad Shad, smaller glide baits, choppy glide baits where you need to get a little bit of, need to incorporate a little wrist action sometimes. Dude, the freaking 711 medium heavy moderate Lux Series Cloud 9 cranker, one of my favorite rods that they've ever made. Absolutely love it. I'll never get rid of it. This is another one of those setups that doesn't change. The SLX with the 6.3-to-1 DC with the Lux Series Cloud 9 cranker. The only thing that changes about this one is the size of the line. That's one of my favorite setups. Next up, the last two before I show you my favorite. This one right here is another one that's been getting a lot of use lately. This is the 8-foot Lux Series. It's also another one of my favorites. The 8-foot heavy mod fast Lux Series 8-footer. This is great for throwing the big deep diving cranks like the 300 DD or the 500 DD, but you guys see what I'm using it for. This is my A-rig setup. Again, 20-pound fluorocarbon line. This is the Shimano Tranx 200. Extremely smooth, beefed up reel, designed to withstand salt water, but I fish it in fresh water and it's so smooth. It's a really good reel, man. If you guys are looking for something to handle baits up to that like 4-ounce range, I would say. I only own one Shimano Tranx, but I've been extremely impressed with it. It's really smooth. If you guys are in the market for a big swim bait reel, they actually make a Tranx 300 that's beefed up even more than this 300 size reel. This is the 200, and this is my A-rig setup right there. That 8-foot Lux Series heavy mod fast, moderate fast, parabolic. When I say moderate fast, that just means that the rod is gonna load up deeper into the blank. See how far down that bend goes into that rod? It's gonna load up deeper into that blank than the fast action rods. Fast action tip is gonna be like, it's gonna stop up here, you know? And it's just gonna bend at the tip. These moderate rods, they bend through more of the length of the blank, and that gives you that parabolic bend, lets you keep those fish pinned with those treble hooks. When they're thrashing around, fighting around, it lets you prevent slack from getting in that line, helps you get those fish to the boat, especially when you're throwing moving baits. Throwing the treble hook baits, you need that parabolic, moderate bend, and that's why you see a lot of moderate fast action rods in my lineup. I throw a lot of moving baits. It's a style of fishing that I like to do. It's a style of fishing that I'm the most successful doing. So I build my arsenal around that. And I do have plenty of medium heavy fast or heavy fast action rods for those techniques. But if you can see here, we've transitioned to a lot of moderate stuff for the style of fishing that we like to do. And that's just something that's happened naturally as I've learned more about what these rods are and aren't good for. Now this right here is my big bait setup. This is the 7-foot, 9-inch, extra heavy, fast MFer swim bait rod, the big swim bait rod, MFer series. Got that paired up with the Corrado 300. You guys heard me mention the Tranx 300 a minute ago. This is the Corrado, the freshwater, the new 300 that Shimano just released. And this is my big bait setup, guys. I throw the Hinkle Shad on this, KGB Legend, or the Draw swim bait. Anything 4 ounces and above. Usually bust this out when we're targeting something mega. But I got one more. Last but absolutely certainly not least, the one that I'm most excited to bring to you guys in the upcoming Heater series, soon to be released from 6th Sense. Currently my favorite thing to pick up and throw, the smoothest reel that I own with the baddest rod that I own, the Heater series, 7-foot, 4-inch, medium heavy, fast action swim jig rod paired up with a Metanium 150. Dude, this right here is my favorite setup. Prototype Heater series, swim jig rod with the Metanium. Can't beat it. You guys already know I've got it laced up with the Divine swim jig as always. And this one's special to me, man. You know, it's the first Heater series rod that I got as a prototype. It's the first one that I started fishing with. Caught a lot of fish on this rod and really solidified it as my favorite swim jig rod, a rod that I'm gonna be proud to bring to you guys, a rod that I seriously can't wait for you to fish with, and one that I've loved using. It's so much fun. The Heater series 7.4 medium heavy fast swim jig rod. It's also an excellent rod for throwing the Crush Flat 75X square bills, but this is my swim jig rod right here, man. Metanium, the new Metanium. This is that new Metanium 150B, I believe. Either way, the Metanium is just insane. It's on another level from any other reel that I own. Hey, if I could afford to have all Metaniums, I absolutely would. I love this reel. This is my favorite setup, guys. Pretty soon, you'll be able to have this exact same setup, only it's gonna look so much cooler than this one. I can't wait to share it with you guys, but that right now is my full rod and reel arsenal, my full setup, my full lineup, guys. I know you guys have been waiting for this video. I apologize for the delay getting this to you. There's been a lot going on behind the scenes. I've been running around, traveling, staying away from home, trying to get editing done intermittently. No excuses. I dropped the ball on getting this to you. I should have had this done sooner. Things were delayed and pushed back. We had reels not getting delivered, wrong reels getting delivered. And man, I just wanted to do this the right way and get it done for you guys where you could actually see every rod and reel that goes in my boat right now. This is what I'm running. I hope it helps you guys in your journey when it comes to selecting a rod, what rods I use for what techniques, lengths, powers, actions, baits, reels, line. I tried to cover as much as I could think of while I was going through that. I'm sure I missed some stuff. If you have any specific questions for me, go down below, drop them in the comments, or feel free to reach out on social media. If you guys aren't already following me on Instagram, just hit 11,000 followers over there. Make sure you're doing that. I would love to have you guys riding along with me over there on the gram. You get to see stuff that you don't get to see here on YouTube. So if you're over there on that platform, check me out. You can also find me on TikTok and Facebook. Links to all my social media will be down below in the description. Hope you guys enjoyed this full rod and reel arsenal video. But that's about all I got for you today, man. That about does it. That about wraps her on up. So I'm gonna go ahead and say goodbye for now, but stay ready so you don't gotta get ready. I got more videos coming really soon. I've been all over the freaking countryside, man. I got dragon chasing content that I need to edit for you guys. And I've been fishing with some really cool people in some really cool places. I've got so much awesome stuff coming your way in 2022, and I can't wait to bring you all along for it. Buy the ticket, take the ride, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.